Imagine you've spent hours on a project, it's not going as planned, but you keep going. Why? Because you've already invested so much. We've all been there, stubbornly pushing forward. But here's the catch: none of that investment matters anymore. Welcome to the world of the sunk cost fallacy. It's a mental trap where past investments affect decisions. It feels like quitting would waste all that time or money. But here's the hard truth: the past is irrelevant. What matters is the future, not what you've already spent. The sunk cost fallacy is all around us in every aspect of life, from personal projects to business decisions. It's everywhere. We justify continuing, even when it's clearly a bad choice. We invest more to avoid feeling like we've lost something. But is this the smartest approach? Often we end up doubling down on failure. How often do we push on because we've come this far? The reality is, sticking to a bad decision rarely pays off. We all fall victim to this thinking, whether in work or life. It's like putting money into a broken machine. The more you put in, the more it breaks you. But why do we do this? Why is it so hard to walk away from a losing bet? It's because we don't want to accept the loss. But continuing just deepens the hole. The sunk cost fallacy can drain resources, both emotional and financial. Let's look at a real world example. Think about a movie ticket you bought, but you hate the movie. Would you sit through the rest of it just because you paid for it? Or would you walk away, cut your losses, and do something else? The movie deck is a simple case, but the fallacy is much bigger. In business, it can cost companies millions. People continue investing in doomed projects because of the money spent. They feel they must see it through. But seeing it through is often the worst choice. In the end, you're chasing something that doesn't make sense. The sunk cost fallacy tricks you into thinking you're closer to success, but you're not. You're just prolonging failure. It's like driving off a cliff but refusing to stop the car. So how do we break free from this cycle? Let's dive deeper into understanding this mental trap. What exactly makes us hold on when we should let go? And what can we do to avoid it? The first step is awareness, knowing this trap exists. But awareness alone is not enough. To understand the sunk cost fallacy, we need to dive into psychology. At its core, it's driven by our innate desire to avoid loss. Humans are wired to hate losing more than they enjoy winning. This bias is called loss aversion. In fact, losses feel about twice as painful as gains feel pleasurable. When we make an investment, time, money, effort, we want it to pay off. Giving up on that investment feels like admitting failure, so we continue even when it doesn't make sense. But ironically, continuing often makes things worse. This is where the fallacy takes hold. Another key factor is our commitment bias. The more we commit to something, the harder it is to quit. It's like we feel that quitting would mean all our previous efforts were wasted. We tell ourselves, I can't stop now, I've invested too much. But the more you invest, the harder it becomes to walk away. That commitment creates a mental attachment to the outcome. The fear of losing that investment keeps us trapped in the cycle. There's also escalation of commitment, where we double down on failing strategies. As things go wrong, we pour more resources in, thinking it'll fix everything. We get trapped in this escalating spiral. The more we invest, the more we feel we must succeed. But this only strengthens the fallacy, making it harder to admit failure. There's also the sunk cost illusion, thinking that past costs influence future decisions. But remember, those costs are gone. What matters is what you'll gain or lose in the future. The past is irrelevant, yet we let it control us. This fallacy is reinforced by societal expectations. Many people view perseverance as a virtue. We're taught to never give up, to see things through. But seeing things through doesn't always lead to success. Sometimes the right decision is to quit smartly. Unfortunately, the fear of admitting failure can be paralyzing. We don't want to seem weak or indecisive. In business and personal life, this leads to decisions based on past investments. But what if you're just delaying the inevitable? What if the decision to keep going is only making things worse? Here's where the sunk cost fallacy gets tricky. We try to convince ourselves that just a little more effort will make things work. But more effort often doesn't solve the problem. It just prolongs the pain. So how do we break free from this trap? The first step is recognizing when the fallacy is influencing you. Awareness is key. It's about noticing that you're holding on to something unnecessary. Sometimes simply acknowledging that it's okay to cut your losses is enough. After all, admitting you've made a mistake is not the end of the world. It's actually the beginning of a new, smarter path forward. Let's take a look at some real world examples. Imagine you're in a bad relationship. You've invested years of emotional energy, but it's toxic. You keep hoping things will improve because of the time you've already spent. This is classic sunk cost fallacy at play. You don't want to let go because you fear all those years will be wasted. But staying in a bad relationship only leads to more pain. The past doesn't guarantee a better future. A similar example happens in business decisions. Companies often continue pouring money into failing projects. They keep thinking that the next round of funding will turn things around. but the reality is the project is likely doomed. Yet, the sunk costs, the money already spent, cloud their judgment. This phenomenon is even seen in the tech industry. Companies stick to failing products, refusing to admit their mistake. Remember the Segway? It was marketed as the next big thing, but despite massive investment and hype, it was a commercial failure. Yet the company kept investing, hoping to recoup the losses. Why? Because they couldn't let go of the sunk costs. They kept pouring money into something that had already failed. But what if they had pivoted earlier? They might have saved resources and focused on something more viable. The sunk cost fallacy isn't just limited to money. It affects our time too. Think about binge watching a TV show you don't enjoy. You've already watched several episodes so that you feel like you should finish. Then even though you're not enjoying it, you keep watching. The sunk cost fallacy tricks you into thinking you've invested too much to quit. But the truth is, your time is being wasted. It's about cutting your losses and moving on to something better. And another great example is in sports. Like athletes and coaches often stick with the strategy that isn't working. Why? Because they've invested so much time into it. But when things aren't working, doubling down only leads to failure. In fact, great athletes are known for their ability to pivot and adapt. It's a lesson we can all take from the world of sports. The sunk cost fallacy affects us in more subtle ways too. Think about buying a product that doesn't quite meet your expectations. Instead of returning it, you keep it, telling yourself, I paid for it, so I must use it. This is another example of holding on to something because you don't want to waste the money, but the product still doesn't work for you. Keeping it doesn't change that. It's about recognizing that just because you've invested doesn't mean it's the best choice. A powerful approach is asking yourself, would I make the same decision today? If the answer is no, it might be time to walk away. The sunk cost fallacy is about letting go of the past and focusing on what truly serves you. Now that we understand the sunk cost fallacy, how do we overcome it? The first step is awareness. Recognizing that you're influenced by past investments is key. Once you see it, you can take control of your decisions. Start by reminding yourself the past is gone. It cannot be changed. To focus on what's best for you moving forward. Ask yourself, if I were starting fresh, would I make the same decision? This simple question can help you gain perspective. In business, this is called cutting your losses. It's a strategy that successful entrepreneurs swear by. If a project is failing, it's often better to stop and pivot. Letting go doesn't mean you're a failure. It means you're making a smart move. The key is focusing on future returns, not past losses. Another technique is reframing your mindset. Shift from thinking, I've already invested too much, to I'll invest in what works now. It's a change in how you perceive your resources. Time, money, and effort are all limited. Don't waste them on the wrong things. Often the fear of loss leads us to make irrational decisions, but rational decision making involves letting go when necessary. Remember, success doesn't come from persistence alone. It comes from making the right choices, even if that means quitting. Another helpful tip is seek external feedback. Talk to trusted friends, colleagues, or mentors when you feel stuck. Sometimes an outside perspective can help you see things clearly. Don't let pride or ego prevent you from acknowledging a mistake. Reevaluating your goals is also essential. Are your original goals still relevant, or have circumstances changed? Be open to change and adjust your plans accordingly. Remember that flexibility is a strength, not a weakness. Overcoming the sunk cost fallacy also involves learning from mistakes. Instead of beating yourself up, ask, what can I learn from this? Every decision, even a wrong one, is an opportunity for growth. The key is to focus on the lessons, not the failure. Acknowledge that you made a decision and it didn't work out, and that's okay. Moving forward with the knowledge gained is a victory in itself. So can we truly overcome the sunk cost fallacy? Absolutely. By practicing mindfulness, making conscious decisions, and accepting failure, we can avoid the trap that holds us back. The most successful people aren't those who never fail. They're the ones who can move on quickly when failure strikes. Success is about adjusting, adapting, and always moving forward. It's about making choices that serve your future, not your past. So next time you face a decision, remember, don't let your past investments dictate your future. Walk away when you need to and move forward.